Hey guys, this is attorney Jack, and I am so excited about our new YouTube channel. Hopefully, most of you guys have probably seen us already on Instagram. If you haven't, we have an Instagram group and a Facebook group that's going to be starting, and I'll try to put those posts or the links below. So the reason for doing this video is kind of an introduction to who I am and what we're going to be trying to do throughout our social media here on YouTube, Instagram, the Facebook group, and the soon-to-be launched membership site. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about my background. My name is Jack. Me and my family live in North Carolina. We're originally from Florida, and we moved here about 10 years ago. My background initially was in law. I practiced law. I was one of the first attorneys in the country in 1992 to focus on helping people with credit problems where there was errors and misinformation on their credit reports. After I did that for probably about 9-10 years, I helped out it's close to 50,000-60,000 people that I had as clients. That was done in 2001, maybe something like that. I moved on and I used the same skill set that I learned in those early days of the internet to do other web development, affiliate marketing. We were doing lead gen for the first time on the internet, things of that nature. So I was very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, trying things out, splash pages, video for the first time. I was there when YouTube started, eBay, lots of different things. The funny thing is, I never thought that I would ever be involved in eBay in a big way, even though I had joined early on. I never thought that the world takes you in strange places. And here's where we ended up. So after moving here about 10 years ago, I was still doing a lot of webinar stuff and teaching people other things like Forex trading and online commerce, e-commerce sites, things like that. About 3 years ago, I had taken a consulting job actually back in Florida. Turned out it didn't end really well. About a month after taking the job, it turned out that the person behind it was not exactly the right type of guy for me to be working with, to say the least. And I found myself sitting one night, looking at the computer, looking at videos, and wondering, what the heck am I going to do? Obviously, I wanted to go back to North Carolina, where my family was, but what was I going to do next? And I came upon this crazy video, don't ask me how, and it was by Prof Sales, who you guys probably know, who up until just recently sold jeans on eBay. That was his primary profession, was selling jeans. And I couldn't believe that somebody could make an income selling used jeans on eBay. Needless to say, that process led me into buying a few pair of jeans, moving into selling jeans on eBay while I was still in Florida temporarily, eventually coming back to North Carolina and going full-time as an eBay clothing reseller. So that's a story there. I currently sell mostly men's clothes. I sell shoes, which happened in the last 7 to 8 months. Men's shoes, sneakers, women's shoes and sneakers. And mostly clothing, mostly men's, maybe 15% women's. Eventually ended up on Poshmark. And it's been a wild ride. So this channel is going to do a couple of different things. I do not plan on recreating the wonderful content that is already available on the channels that have helped me to get to where I am in this business. So I will refer you to other people's channels on a regular basis. We're going to have a whole video pointing out the channels that have helped me get to where I am now, a full-time eBay Poshmark seller. We're going to go over that. We're going to do a lot of interesting tips, because the one thing you're going to know about me very quickly is that I don't come at things in the same way that most people do. I figure out what other people are doing and figure out if there's a better way to do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm always going to be honest. I'm always going to tell you the truth. So you're going to get a lot of interesting ways of looking at clothing sales, eBay sales, marketing, and especially sourcing items. In the last 2 years, I have come up with very unique ways to source items that are not just competing with people at the Goodwills, Salvation Armies, and garage sales. But we're not going to get into that here. You're going to hear about that. We're going to slowly go through that and introduce those concepts. That's also what's going to be happening shortly is we're going to be releasing a private group that's going to get the same tools and concepts online and offline that I use to kind of put myself ahead of the competition locally when it comes to sourcing clothing and any other item you can possibly imagine. It doesn't matter if it's shoes, bikes, books, records, jewelry, whatever. But we'll talk about that more as that comes to fruition very soon. So you're going to see a lot of tips in that area. Secondly, what you're going to find about this channel is something completely different than the sourcing. And I know that for some people, the other side of this channel may or may not work for you. And it's really what makes this more personal to me. So outside of the eBay tips, sourcing, the apps that we're coming out with, the membership site, I'm going to be talking about some other things that are near and dear to my heart. First thing you're going to know is I'm a total geek. So if you're into comic books, if you're into superhero stuff, shows, movies, sci-fi, Star Trek, any of those things, you are going to see that stuff on this channel. Make no mistake about it. If it's not your kind of thing and you're only here to look at eBay and Poshmark tips and sourcing, that's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. But the other side of what I'm doing here is I have held back, and I'm not going to hold back anymore. I now have a voice when it comes to the comic book stuff, how to collect it, how to sell it, and we're working on some developments in that area as well that's going to blow your mind if you're into selling collectibles itself, whether it's comic books, baseball cards, artwork, Supreme clothing, sneakers, whatever it is. That is a project that's coming. You're going to hear more about it, and you're going to see my love for those things as well. So that's a little bit about me. How successful have I been in the 2.5 years or so doing the clothing, you may ask? Well, I don't do things in a slow fashion. I hit things hard when I really like them and I see that there's a focus and an ability to be profitable. So after I started doing the jeans alone, it was very quickly that I started learning and adapting to the brands needed to do other forms of clothing, whether that's quarter zips, shirts, shorts, and eventually women's clothing. We'll talk about that as well. So in a very short period of time, I have built this up into pretty much a 6-figure business at this point. So between Poshmark and eBay, those are the two platforms. I did do Amazon for a while with the books. It's not my thing. We'll talk more about that. One of my best friends here does only books and CDs and video games, and you're going to see some interesting stuff from him as well, even though I personally am not doing that right now. I know that's something that a lot of people love to do, and it still is profitable if you know what you're doing. So that's a little bit about me. I hope to hear more about you guys and what you're doing, and we're going to have fun too. Some of the videos are going to be coming out. You're going to hear my rants about people fighting at Goodwill over garbage sneakers. You're going to hear my rants about how it's cool to be a geek now and why when I was growing up in the 80s it wasn't the same thing and how did that change. And you're going to see a lot of other stuff. I also played professional poker for a long time. I love poker. We'll probably have something about that. And the next time the World Series of Poker comes up, we'll talk a little bit about stuff like that and fantasy football. But the primary focus is always going to be how to make money, how to source better, what are the tools of the trade that I am going to be creating for you that have worked for me. So that's where you're going to make money, and we're going to do the best job we can at collaborating with some of the best people that you're already familiar with on YouTube. So that's where we're at. Stay tuned, and you're going to see a lot more from this channel in the near future. Make sure you join our Instagram account and the YouTube group. We're going to be having content on both of those channels because lots of content doesn't always work on YouTube. Some things are real quick at the moment, and that works best on Instagram. Sometimes we're going to have PDFs and a lot of free articles talking about some of the ways that I source, and that's probably going to be available on the Facebook group. So lots of things coming, and I hope you enjoy the ride. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I look forward to talking to each one of you guys in the chat below and reaching out to each one of you to talk about some of the things that I do that work, and maybe collaborating with other channels and other people with unique processes that they use in their eBay and Poshmark business. Have a great day. We'll see you on Instagram, and we'll see you in the next video.